Hello everybody and welcome back to the Tamiya Volvo FH12 Globetrotter 420 RC truck build. Now, in this part we're going to be progressing even further. This is the current state of the build, which you can see is actually progressing quite well. And I'm going to put it to one side because we don't really need it at this stage. The next part is going to be a case of building things. We're going to be doing parts from number 13 just here all the way to part number 16 just here. Quite a few fiddly things. The entire episode is going to be based around the rear differential. That is pretty much what we're doing. Part number 13, there's quite a few screws rolling around here. Part number 13 is all about the diff gear, so we're going to have to build that first of all. Part number 14 is the rear shaft, 15 is the rear axle, and finally 16 is the rear leaf spring assembly. So if we can get to part number 16 today, then I'd be very pleased. If we don't, then fair enough, but hopefully we will do. Now, parts 13 to 16 is everything within bag C, just here, or part number bag 194-15145. So before we do anything, I need to get this opened up. Remember I had that problem with the scissors not actually cutting? Well, I think today will be no exception. Because we're back to the child safe scissors. Actually, I don't even know if they are child safe. It's just, yeah, they just don't seem somehow as professional as the other ones. But to be fair, the other ones have had a lot of use over the years. So, there we go. Bag C. I'll keep it for the time being, but we'll probably just get rid of it later. Some instructions for the bevel gear just here. Bevel gear shaft has been altered. Please use the enclosed bevel gear shaft and the three 4mm grub screws in place of the kit parts. Ah, there must have been an issue then. This has been done afterwards, been put in, although it says copyright 2004. So it must be. I think it is actually a very old kit. This I'm pretty sure actually it's one of the oldest kits that's still on the market. That is one of the reasons why I went for it. So there must be another bevel gear. Maybe it's getting used to build it, but obviously we wouldn't have to if we already have the bevel gear. Yes, I think that's going to save us a bit of time, you know. I reckon. I don't actually know which part this is all about, but somewhere, there it is, MC17. MC17, bevel gear shaft. Right. Possibly this book's been redone, I'm not too sure. But anyway, I mean, it's just a minor point. We don't really need to dwell on it. But anyway, yeah, they're not that. That is, I think that's what we're going to use in a minute. That's all to do with the diff gear. So let's clear the workspace, and it says here: apply kit supplied liquid thread lock to the portion shown with this mark. So there is going to be quite a bit of liquid thread. Again, there's going to be a lot of ceramic grease as well. That is this tube just here. Ceramic grease. Good. I'm going to have to get some more. So where to start? That is the thing. You start within this category, obviously, this part, but I don't suppose it matters where. I think we'll start with this piece here. I can see it here anyway. So I'll keep these together-ish. I'll try and keep them all on that page there. But obviously, yeah, we don't want to lose them. So there we go. Free staple with every bag. Straight in the bin. Yeah, so this is going to require grease, mainly. These two must be... Yeah, they're not used just yet. It's these three here. So they simply just slide on. I can only assume they do. Yeah. That was easy. Too easy. Yeah, because they've all fallen off again. Yeah, I think what happens here is they actually do sit within the case. That just there. Keeps everything together. So, I think it would be wisest. The wisest idea here would be if I would just do stuff in the order shown in this vertical exploded diagram. So I think that is. I think that there. That is the bottom piece. That is the top piece. Everything is closed onto there. So if I can get the bottom gear for that, which I can only assume is this one, I would say. I have to have a good think about this. Right. Okay, so this one here requires MC12. MC12 is a washer, so it's a good job I checked that as well. Now it must be provided within the pack. What it looks like though, that is a different story. There they are. Must be these. You would not want to be installing it without the washer. There's one. There's the other. So it goes on the back of there, like that. It doesn't look right because there's a lot of play, but it must be. Must be right. And then I think it just goes upside down. Whether or not it should be, I guess it should. Yep. Put a layer of grease on here. There we go. These fiddly parts are where the pressure builds for me. Trying to narrate a video at the same time is a little bit distracting, you could say, but I definitely want to do it. So yeah, that should now, there's a groove in there. That should now hopefully sit in the groove. There we go. Yes. That is in. Good. So it's probably not as hard as it looks. I mean, at the moment it looks a little bit tricky, but it probably isn't too difficult at all. Now, with this one here, do we have any kind of washers required? I don't think we do. So if we just build these onto here once again, as I did do before, then hopefully that then just sits. Seems strange, but it does just show that it sits on there. It's going to need to be greased, but if that is right, which yeah, I think it probably is right, then that's not too bad. Yeah, you can see it sits in its groove. There are some little notches. So I will grease that thoroughly. Probably put a few squirts of grease into here and then maybe turn it over, I don't know, like that. As long as it doesn't all ping out. I really don't know how much to put in. Too much is probably better than not enough though. That's feeling alright. Yep, I think that's probably about the right consistency of grease. It's certainly grease, that's the main point. So we can now move on to the top piece, which again has to have the washer, which is just here. So if we now close that onto here, again it should be greased. I can only put a few dollops onto there. There we go. Actually, yeah, I should just put a bit of grease on here too. There we go. And then, hopefully, please say I've got this right, we put the top on. And if it doesn't close together, I know I've done something wrong. But it does seem to. It has closed together. There we go. Now the bolts, as we know, very carefully put it to one side. The bolts, as we know, need to be thread locked. So this is the thread lock just here. I wonder if anybody's not actually looked at the packaging and started to put grease in the threads, or thread lock in the gearbox, even worse. That really would be bad. I'm going to have to pierce the top here. There we go. Right, so something happened when I put it down, did it? I might have just lifted up slightly. We need BB4s. Now BB4s are actually just out of the standard BB bag. They're cap screws. I see them. Yeah, I can see them in there. This must be where we have to use either the Allen keys or whatever they are. I'm not too sure what they are exactly. There they are. Tiny things. Now if I go back to the packet which I had before, hopefully I've still got it here. Should do. There they are. 3 very, very small screws. Now if we go back to here, there is an Allen key in here, so I'm assuming that it is just an Allen key. It looks like one, but it's so small that I can't really tell, and I don't wear glasses, so that's a worrying sign. But it is microscopic. Yeah, that is an Allen key. Yep. Right, that's good. That's sorted that. I think I might just take the top off here again just to make sure everything is alright, because it did lift up. Yep, that's all fine. Okay, that's good then. We'll get the liquid thread. Before I do anything, I'll just double check my diagram. I've done that. I've done all this. Put the washer in. Yep. It looks way more complicated than it actually is. Probably the same for the entire project. It is the gearbox that I'm sort of concerned about. Ooh, blue thread lock with a very fruity smell. Right, a little bit messy. This is why you should be using tweezers, I think. But I think if I just get them started first of all, to make sure they're all in straight, they're actually in their threads, then we can then continue to tighten them. Yeah, they're all in, that's good. So I'll continue here. And they still need to be tight, but of course, because they have got the thread lock on them, if one does decide to try and work loose, it should be stopped by the thread lock. The thread lock should just basically stop it from turning in its thread, to put it simply. So that's not fully tight, but I'll just show you it close up. So here we go. That's what it's looking like currently. GoPros aren't the best for looking up close up, but you get the idea. Some of the parts which I've stacked up behind the camera are trying to move. Just move one out of the way. There's still so many parts to go. Not that I'm in a hurry, it's just I would like to do a trailer as well. I think once I've built one, I won't feel as much of a rush to get it done, because at the moment I'm desperate to use one. I'm desperate to use one of these radio controlled lorries and actually have one. But of course if I already had one, then yeah, I wouldn't need to rush to get another one built. So I would say that they are tight. Excuse me being slow, but I want to just make sure I've done everything correctly. So if I just put the thread lock away, make sure the cap is on, otherwise we'll have some problems with it drying up. Yes, next is the rear shaft. Just move my towel out of the way there. Rear shaft. Let's get it started. So this is going to include the rear differential, which sits in the middle there. You probably can't see. There we go, it's like that. We've got the shafts here, I think they must be them, and all the other various parts which are just here. So looking at it, the two drive shafts are very similar. They actually do join together, and if you look at them to begin with, they are pretty similar overall, but there is a very distinct difference when you've looked at them for a while. In fact, to the trained eye, it's obvious straight away. In fact, even to the untrained eye, it's obvious straight away. But there you go. That piece there does not exist on this piece here. We have threaded ends on both, but this end is different. So they go inside the differential and then join together. So I'm hoping we can actually put them in there straight away. It doesn't mention grease for the end pieces, so I don't know. I would like to. I can see grease in there already, but yeah, I think I might just put a tiny bit on, just a tiny bit. So this piece goes into this side, sits in there, and well, actually we should only do one side at a time technically. I'll put this one in and take it out again, just to make sure. Yeah, that's all working good. And then hopefully, with a bit of luck, that will work. Yep, that's all working very well. So indeed, we'll put this one back in, put it back into there, and we're going to require BB2, which is a much larger E-clip this time. You'll probably remember from the previous episode, I had a lot of fun with those minute ones. So if that is the correct one, it should just clip onto there. It is. In fact, it might even be a bit too big for my E-clip tool. Although there does seem to be two standard sizes on here. Yeah, it is. It's the right size. Good. But as usual, I'm having my my fun with the E-clip. There is going to be a knack to it. In fact, somebody might have even posted in the previous episode. It's just, yeah, these videos have all been produced together. So even if you've commented on the very first video with a tip, yeah, even in the very last episode, I still went and read it. You know what? I find this side of the tool easier than the proper side of it for some reason. I don't know why. But I suppose whatever I find easiest is going to be what we should go for. So after this, what we have to do is get one of these. It's calling it the bronze. Is it calling it bronze bearing? I think metal bearing. Okay, I think they're bronze. I'm not too sure now. Maybe they're not. But that goes onto there. It does say to grease it, so I will do. Put a good application on. That's it. And after that, we have another one. And let me guess, another E-clip. Yes, we do. Well, I guess it makes sense. We don't, however, require the screw. That can go back. Okay, so I've got two of these out. There we go. Done. It was a bit of a disaster once again. They always are. But that is one drive shaft, hopefully finished with. Unless I've done something wrong. But I mustn't say that because that's just a negative attitude. So we've got to do the exact same thing to the other side. Which I'm definitely going to do off screen. So see you in a second. Well, there we go. That is the rear shaft, rear differential done. And what we have to do now is obviously move on to part number 15. 15 out of 16 in today's video. So I'll just put this to one side temporarily. 15 is all about the rear axle. Well, actually the entire thing is. It's just, that is the name of this particular part. Basically assembling the entire assembly. So we're going to have to look for some extra parts here. We require some A parts. So the A parts should, in theory, be very easy to find, providing I've not put them somewhere else. So what are these? These are Q parts, so it's not those. Chances are it's behind the camera. Ah, here we go. This looks promising. Yep, I think that would be A. Possibly two different ones here. That's A, just there. This one which we're going to have to put to one side, is B. I guess that makes sense. A and B are together. So if that's empty, put that to one side. So this is where the bevel gear, which we were given earlier, is going to come into play. We're going to have to get that fitted. It is actually a case of, as far as I can see, just putting this entire assembly into its housing, and then obviously putting some other stuff in there too. So if I get these taken off here, there's one. I think there are only 2 parts on here, so it's very simple. A doesn't really come to much, it's just 2 things. I'll keep it though, just in case there is something on it, which I haven't noticed. So that, I would say, will fit together. Not now, because we need to put something in between it, but yep, that is roughly the idea. You can see that is all there. So what do we need to do? We need to get a load of BA6 bolts, most likely the ones I've got lying around already, these ones. Of course, I will just clarify this. So if I look at BA6, we should be able to figure out exactly which is which. 15mm. No, that is not 15mm. So it's a good job I checked. Which is surprising, because it looks very similar. It must be these. Yes, that is just slightly longer. There we go. So it's those ones. That could have been disastrous. Actually, it wouldn't have been disastrous at all. I would have probably just attempted to screw them into here, and it wouldn't have done nothing because it would be too short. So we need quite a few of those. We do need quite a few. If I just put them out here, we'll try and find them. We need a lot. Well, if I just get a handful, then we can just use the ones which we need. We might have to get some more out of there in a minute or two, but that will do for the time being. Looking at this, actually, we're going to have to put some nuts on the other side. So it must be the BA ones, which we've got here as well. Plenty of those. Just a standard nut. They're very small, but if they're all done it properly, that won't be an issue. Right, there we go. I think that should do for the time being. Let's try and find one more. There we go. Good. So, obviously we have to put this assembly inside first. At a guess, I would say we have to put, if it is this one, this bevel gear into there first. The interesting thing is that it's called MC17. But the problem which I can see here, is we have got, this is actually like a rectangular end to it. It's not perfectly round. Although actually, looking at that one closely, yes, that has got a notch taken out of it, so it must be this. It does say to use this one anyway, so we will do. No way am I going to go against the instructions, otherwise I'm just going to cause problems. It says for the grub screws, apply liquid thread lock, so I will have to. The grub screw, I think, must be included somewhere. Oh no, there they are. Tiny things. I mustn't lose those. But I don't think they're required right this second. Maybe they were trying to assemble it with a different method before, different hardware. I have no idea. But there must be a reason for trying to change it. There goes another staple. Right, so we're going to have to get another one of those bearings, as they call it. I always call them bronze bushings, but I don't know if that is the correct term for it. And then we put one of those, MA3s. Actually, we need 2. One goes on the inside of here. I would assume that is the correct side. Actually, we need 4. Is that right? We only have 2 left. Hang on. Oh no, I see. I think I see. Oh no, I don't see. That is weird. How many are we supposed to have? MA3. 4. Yeah, I had 4. Ah. I might know. Because I was questioning if that was right here. Yeah, 'cause it looks like you should put 4 onto here, but then you probably don't, because one of them is kind of not shaded in properly. I will have to think about this. Unless that is right, it might be. It's just looking at it, we're going to have some more. Well, what I'll do is I'll put some of this on. And, well, basically, if I've done something wrong, it'll be obvious, because we won't be able to go any further. It's not like I can assemble it wrong, so I just can't do it. It's impossible, I would say. Well, it's not impossible, but it would be quite an achievement, because you wouldn't have the parts required for it. So that piece definitely goes into there. You can see it's a perfect fit. Whether or not, though, that is the correct side for this, I'm going to have to double check that as well. It might not even matter. Yeah, it's definitely the right side, there's only one. In that case, yes, that is perfect. I will get the other one. It just takes a bit of thinking out, really. You can't really rush these things. And then that one must go on the inside. Yep, perfect. So that's now all in there. Which means that should now go straight through. Making sure I do this correctly. There we go. So that's all in. You can see it's all turning. So that is definitely done right. Good. After that, oh no, we have to put a BB2 E-clip on. I did find a good way of doing it. Well, I find it a good way of doing it. It's not necessarily a good way of doing it, but I use the pliers. There is a bad thing that can happen if you use the pliers, and that is if you don't do it properly, you'll likely bend the E-clip. But so far I've had more success with this than I have with anything else. And I think I've just managed to do another one. I have. It's far easier. It's still good to have the tool though, well, in fact, there you go. It wasn't on fully. That's finished it off. So with two different tools, it manages to do it properly. There we go. So anything on the inside? No, it doesn't look like we do have to put anything on the inside. It can't go back in. It can't come out. There's a tiny bit of play, but that doesn't matter. In fact, that's good. So now that is done, we can now think about putting the entire rear differential into here. Now this is where, again, I need to be very careful. It will only fit one way because we've got the, well, this is like a bevel gear in itself, and obviously that's a bevel gear. So if I put it in wrong, it simply won't fit. It's as simple as that. As for the bushes, which I put all the bearings I've put on here, I think as long as they're both at each end, there shouldn't be a problem. Nothing's keeping the shafts in place at the moment because everything is held in place when it's all put together. So we have to grease this gear. I keep meaning to put an order in for the grease because I am pretty sure that this won't last the entire project. Although, to be fair, we do only have the gearbox left, I think, which is going to require a lot of greasing. And I'm probably about 50% of the way through that. So maybe not, but I think I should just get some anyway, just to play it safe. Because otherwise I might run out halfway through and then it'll be just a waiting game, which won't be fun. So if I drop it in, you can see there are actually mounts for each of these bearings. And that is almost sat in them all. I would assume we don't have any seals. I suppose they're not required because you shouldn't even go in the water anyway, but in case somebody wanted to go in the water with them, then that would sort that problem. So that is done. Nice and greased, perfect, it's all turning. So I would assume now what we have to do is put everything together. So that should fit perfectly on the top. Does it click, or do you have to just do it up? It does click. Very satisfying. And there we go. So That's turning, input's turning, and it's turning the differential there. So what I'll do now is I'll speed the video up for you and we'll get things finished off. And there we go, it's done. You can see all the nuts on the back, perfect length bolts, so nothing is protruding out the back, it's all nice and smooth, and everything seems to turn as it should do. You can see the input there is turning, and the differential is turning as well. Now what we have to do is we now have to put the piece MC7 onto here, and MC7, I don't know if it's listed on here, I'm not too sure. But it looks to be the coupling to the drive shaft. So if I can just try and locate that, it's probably in this bag here. It is. And this is where the grub screws come into effect. So I think, yeah, actually only one. Only one. You put it onto there. The grub screw does have to be thread locked, so I must make sure I do that. As for where I put the thread lock though, that's a different story. It won't have gone far. But it is here somewhere. I've probably put it in a safe place. I have. It's just over here. Always best to keep stuff in a safe place. I might actually, oh, it's already trying to ooze out. Nice. I don't want too much. That's just messy, that. I was going to say, I'll put the Allen key on the end of it first, but then again, it might not be the easiest option. I think either way, it's going to be messy, isn't it? If I put it on the end, actually no, that is better. That is better. So I have coated it in everything that oozed out. Hopefully I don't have to take it out again. If I do, then it won't be good. But no, there should be no reason for taking it out. Providing it's on properly in the first place. So about there. Tighten it up. Don't shear it, because you would be a fool to shear it. If you shear it in there, then it won't be fun. So there we go, let's just get things tidied up a bit. And I'll just put the lid back on as well. Again, my lid has gone walkies. There. Okay. Just tidying stuff up off the book. Let's now find the next job. I think actually that has concluded part 15. Obviously the thread lock has to set, but that seems to run fairly smoothly. Probably has to just seat a bit, but overall it feels good. Slight bit of clunkiness there, I would say. Don't know how smooth it's supposed to be. It all turns absolutely fine, no resistance. It's just there's a slight notch. I guess you could say it's a little bit noisy, but it's probably just the way I'm turning it. I don't know. Just there. Anyway, the point is, it is working. Differential works. If you try and hold both, you can't do. Lots of strength. So that is part 15 done. So part 16, this is the rear leaf spring, and this is, well, basically the leaf springs which is just here. You would have thought it would be all, yes it is, it's all to do with mounting the leaf springs actually to the rear axle. So we've already done this before. We've done the front. Obviously we're not putting it straight onto the chassis yet, so that'll be the next episode, but the idea is very similar. Although there are a few other things as well which involve these parts here. So we've got to, what are we calling these? some kind of hinge, I suppose. Shackle. Of course they do, yeah. Yeah, I was looking at these ones here, but yes, it is the exact same thing. So yes, we've got to do the shackle, which means we should have some more parts, which are quite, yeah, they're in this bag here. Yep, good. What these are, I'm not entirely sure. Everything here, I think, is going to be used within this part. But as we've already done the front axle in the previous episode with the leaf springs, I think I'll just get this done very quickly. There we go, part number 16 done. I did have to redo a couple of pieces there, but overall I think it is now done correctly. So yeah, I think you could actually say that the rear axle is done as well, and hopefully fully functioning. So what is coming up? Next time, attaching the rear axle, attaching the dampeners, and then the beginning of the gearbox. In fact, you know what? I'd quite like to do the gearbox as one episode. I think finishing off the rear axle would be a bit obtrusive in the next episode. So actually, yeah, what we'll do is we will keep going until part number 18. I did change my mind before. I did actually think 16 would be a better time to stop. But no, it would just be, yeah, it'd be too much of a job to do before the gearbox. So let's bring back this. It actually isn't much at all, I don't think. As far as I can see, it's a very simple job, just putting this on. So let's hope I'm right. This is the rear of the lorry, as you can see. Now, providing I put everything on correctly, such as like this, there should be no problems at all. It does actually fit, though. Now that is interesting. Let me just think about this properly. That way, obviously, but actually on the outside like that. So yeah, we've got plenty of parts for these. These parts here, we've also got everything else in this bag, the screws which I took out before, and yeah, basically just everything we require to do this should be here already, hopefully. If not, then we'll have to open another bag. I will just check actually, because it does tell you which steps require which bags at the back of the book. See, if I just go there, then we'll find out for sure. So yeah, part C is 13 to 18. I probably even said at the beginning of this video that we're going to go up to part 18. I don't know, but we are going to. We are going to. See, the thing is, even this episode, it's been done over 3 days. It's like, I haven't just sat here doing it all. So yeah, I forget things which I've said. So yeah, let me just try and find the parts though. That is interesting, because it does say that we've got some other things. I guess it's just these. It must be. So these fit onto here, and then, well, they actually go through the leaf spring. I think they go through the leaf spring. I'll do the front first. So as that, you can't see unfortunately, but yeah, that is definitely how it's showing us to do it. Fairly simple really. And then the screws which we've been given here must be the screws which we're being told to use. So MC8, they are 20mm in length. That is 20mm in length, so yeah, that is exactly how it's done. It's all threaded, so we don't have to put a nut on the other side, which makes it nice and easy. I'll just put it in first. And there we go, that is part number 18 done as well. Fixing the dampeners. Now there is only one thing which I am slightly concerned about, and that is that the washers, which it's told us to put on here, the washers are extremely loose on both sides, but I've triple checked it and it does appear to be the right way of doing it. So, well, if it causes a problem in the future, I'm just going to have to change it, aren't I? But yeah, it's just the only thing I've noticed. Otherwise, yeah, the shocks are on the back, which you probably can't even see from there. There you go. I suppose there is another concern as well. It doesn't have much movement in it. It hits the chassis fairly quickly, but I suppose it doesn't want to be too soft. Otherwise, yeah, it's just always going to be sat on the chassis. It needs to have a bit of spring to get it up a bit. Anyway, I think that is everything done. Sometimes after doing these videos I have looked back and seen the odd thing which could just do with a bit of adjustment. So if you've noticed it, chances are I have as well, because I do thoroughly check these things before moving on to the next step. But obviously some things could get through the net, which will become clear soon. But no, there we go. Part number 18 finished, which means we're going to be starting the gearbox in the next episode. Hopefully starting and finishing it. The gearbox goes up to a fairly high number. It's part number figure number 19, all the way up to, well, gearbox installation is 27. I should think in the next part we'll just build the gearbox, so we'll probably finish at 25 or 26, possibly 27, because that is installing it as well. If we do the entire thing, it's going to be number 19 to number 27, which will be an absolutely huge episode. But I do need to get on with this anyway, so it's not a bad thing. Anyway, thank you so much for watching. Hope you've enjoyed the video, and until the next one, see you again very soon. Bye for now.